Well, hello, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. It's Monday. We are already, I cannot believe it, almost all the way through.
Well, hello, everybody, and
part of the second quarter of 2022. I'm going to start admitting people into the room here. If you're joining us live in the Zoom, go on ahead and throw in your digital business card link so we can network together. As many of you are aware, we hold a call every Monday morning called Sprint Planning. If you're new to this call, we're going to go through the topic of sprint planning and why it's important, and obviously open this up for any discussion. The ultimate goal this week is that every one of us has a plan to win the week, right? And by winning the week and winning each successive week, we're going to win the year. And as many of you guys already know, it's May 9th. It's May 9th. Oh my goodness, second month of Q2. Pretty soon we're going to be halfway through 2022. If you are reaching your goal, then you want to make sure that you're refreshing and starting off and making sure that you guys are working towards those goals. So this is your opportunity to reset, restart the week. Hopefully everybody had an amazing weekend. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day, had a chance to call your mom if you're a mom, got called, and all that other jazz, and had a chance to skill, fill, and refill, or will skill and refill over the weekend. So let's talk about sprint planning. Again, I want to open this up for anybody who wants to participate. If you've already made a plan, if you've already made a plan for the week, if you made it this morning, if you made it on Sunday, use the reactions, go on ahead and raise your hand, or put in the chat, made my plan, I'm ready for the week. If you haven't, if you're waiting till right now to make your plan, let's talk about that plan real quick. Let's talk about the week ahead. That's really what sprint planning is all about. Maybe we have to go back to the beginning again, reset every week. Guys, it's about having a path and a goal that we're working on. It's about breaking that path or goal down for the year to not even monthly goals, but weekly goals. It's about establishing a process or a method of operation that we're going to be working on every single day as part of our daily practice that's going to take us from where we are to where we want to go. Now, for a lot of us as entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that falls into revenue generating activities that we want to have as part of our daily practice. So we want to think about, what are the goals that we have? Do you have a certain number of follow-ups that you're going to be doing every day this week? Ask yourself that question. Do you have a set number of follow-ups that you're going to be doing this week? If you need help tracking your follow-ups, guys, Shuffle tracks those for you, right? I'm going to go on ahead and share my screen. I'm in Doug Demo's account here, and I'm just going to show you what I mean by tracking your follow-ups and having some scheduled follow-ups for this week. So as you know, in your Shuffle, you've got your contacts. We're going into the contacts section. There's a gear right under the list of your contacts. This is also available on the mobile, and you can sort your contacts by upcoming follow-up, and it'll put them all in the order that you need to contact your follow-ups with. Now, obviously, we're in the demo account, so a lot of these follow-ups are overdue. Maybe you're in the same boat. Maybe you've got some overdue follow-ups. If you've set your follow-ups like this, guys, start right at the top and start making those follow-up interactions. That's how simple it is. You're going to open up the contact. You're going to see that you have that follow-up reminder. You can review any notes that you might have on that contact before you set or take place on that follow-up activity, and then go through and take care of the follow-up. When you're done, mark it as complete, set another follow-up, set that expectation for continuing to work the relationship with each of your contacts. So, we can do this a day from now, a week from now, a month from now. Let's go ahead and do it a week from now, and we'll create that next follow-up. That's part of the ongoing process. So think about it. How am I working my network this week and what I am working on? Part of that is following up. The other part is meeting new people. Who are you going to introduce yourself to this week? Are you going to any events this week that will help you introduce yourself? Are you participating in any networking events or things of that nature that you want to be engaged with? Put all of that within your plan. I'm a big proponent of using a calendar. There's a million calendars out there. There's free calendars as well. I like a digital calendar like Google Calendar because it syncs with my phone. And I like to block out my week. I encourage everybody, take an opportunity to block out your week. If you haven't started to already, let's take a look or an example of what that looks like to start blocking things out, guys. I put on my calls, the things that are fixed events every single week. I keep those things on my calendar, right? So we're on our sprint planning call. We want to make sure we have our plan. I've already blocked in my Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Time. That's 1 p.m. for me on the Mountain Time Zone. Adjust for your time zone respectively. And make sure you have this stuff in so that you don't overlook or miss it. If you have meetings coming up, if you have events coming up, if you have time that you're going somewhere and you need a reminder to leave there so that you show up on time, get organized and put all that in a calendar, right? So I've got my sprint call. I've got Tech Tuesday at 2. I know I'm working on Mindset of a Champion. We have our Mastermind Roundtable, and we have our Friday with the Founders. Those happen every single week. And if you don't know when those things are or where they are, here's the week at a glance calendar. And I'm going to put that in the chat for everybody to see so that you guys have access to that as well. But stick with it. Get a calendar. Put it together. If you need time to block time, we talk about block and time out. When are you going to make your calls? When are you going to do your outreach? When are you going to build your cards? When are you going to spend time working in your business this week? You want to lay that out. So I might come in and block out times of when I do focused work time. Maybe you are working from 9 to 5 on your current business. Maybe it's part of your LFI affiliate business. You're working the 9 to 5. Maybe you're working it in the mornings, in the afternoons, on the weekends. Block time accordingly and put it down in writing and make that plan. Additionally, we talk about the entire wheel of life and balancing and blocking for everything. If you need to, if it helps and supports you, block everything on your calendar, right? When are you waking up? What are you doing? Are you working out? Are you meditating? Are you spending time with family? When are you working? What do you have going on? Put all of that in there. The one-off meetings, click a time in there and put those things in. If you have a meeting at a specific time, you just throw it in there and stay on top of it and stay on track. This is the number one thing. We know that people who make a plan have a higher chance of achieving the results of that plan. And it's even higher when you put it down in writing. So this is all we come on every Monday to encourage you guys and to encourage and remind ourselves here that we should have a plan. Typically, if you get into the habit of doing your sprint planning, you're doing this even before the week starts. Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, you're building that mental list of everything you need to get done, checked off, and taken care of in the week ahead. You're starting to make that punch list of items for when you have blocked time that you're going to diligently be focusing on. You're focusing on what we call the win list, what's important right now, because we know at the end of the day, guys, we don't manage our time. We are all, in a way, ineffective time managers. We prioritize our time. And what you'll find yourself doing is the activities that you believe are the highest priority. So what's the highest priority for you right now? What is that in your business? Is it the phone calls you need to make? Is it the meetings that you're going to? Is it the opportunities that you see ahead? Do you have those listed out? And are you planning and preparing to execute on those? That's everything that sprint planning is about. So what I want to do right now, I'm going to open this up for anybody who wants to participate. Anybody who has a plan, want to talk about their plan, want to talk about some things that they're excited about that they have going on this week, you're welcome to speak to that. Anybody who has a tip, a trick, something else that helps them make forward progress as part of this planning initiative, you're welcome to contribute to that as well. Just want to say hi to everybody who's commenting on here. Royalty, good to see you. Ruben, good to see you. Shelly, nice to have you on. Nick, good to have you on. Dana and I see you on there. Everybody, so good to have you on. Any questions, any thoughts, any tips, tricks, comments, celebrations? Otherwise, we'll start to wrap this sprint planning call up.
Hey, I actually, good morning. I actually just realized that I can do something really cool with this phone or with this app. And I'm going to build a Google form, put it on here so that as I'm doing intake with clients, they can be filling out that form online basically and not have to do it in my office, sucking up time that I can be spending with them doing what I do. So I'm going to use it for that.
I love it.
I think
even
that's
like
great.
a pre-appointment, anything that can save you a little bit of time. And obviously we all know there's things that eat up time during the day. And it's not that in the moment, it seems like a lot, but when you add it all up, it adds up a ton. You know what I mean? So having that form, Shelly, that they could be like, hey, if you send it out to them, wherever you implement that form and as part of your process, you would just send it out to them. Hey, before you get here or before we speak, please have this filled out. We'll be going through it. And because it's all cloud-based, the moment they fill it out, you should have that right at your disposal, even if it's something that you review 5 minutes before the meeting. Again, it's just going to save you all that additional time. And that's really a lot of what, what I think about is the time factor. I mean, when we talk about time and we talk about time freedom as we have in the past, we're really talking about this finite resource that we want to free up as much of for ourselves, and we don't want to squander it. So if you can find efficiencies in your business, in your process, like Shelly's highlighting here, I mean, that's worth its weight in gold, especially over time. If Shelly, if you did, 5 appointments a day for a week, for a month, for a year, and each one took 5 to 10 minutes of time during that appointment to fill out this form, and you eliminated that and added all that up, that's an extra appointment a week, or that's an extra new client that you could fit in. All of these types of things that become available with those types of efficiencies. So I love that idea. Thanks for sharing.
Less paper too. So literally like thousands of pages of paper, because my intake's probably about 6 pages front and back. So 12 pages of paper. Yeah.
And to print that all out, have them fill it out, have to pull it to review it. Just to have it accessible and you just grab it, you could link it. You could put a link on their contact profile that links directly to it if you want. All of those types of things. Again, I think what you're identifying is these efficiencies that we can all gain that help us run our systems and our processes a bit more efficiently. Once we start implementing that, that's when we start running like a well-oiled machine, right? You're not like, oh, where did your papers go? Oh, let me see if I have some of those. Oh, I don't have any. I need to print out some more. No, it's, hey, here's that link. Do you want to fill it out on your phone? Do you want to fill it out before you get in here? I'll email it to you. I'll text it to you. It's very efficient. And when I need to grab it, I've got it. And I know exactly where it's going to be in the foldering system, link to the contact, etc.
And when they haven't filled it out, you can actually send them an update and say, hey, I noticed you haven't filled it out. The appointment's in just a little while or tomorrow or whatever. Please fill it out before you come in.
Well, and I like that, especially depending on how you prepare for your appointments. If you say, okay, I look at who all I'm going to meet with all week long as part of your sprint planning. And again, this is it. We don't have to look out beyond this week. You know what I mean? Most everything we do, we don't need more than a week's worth of lead time for. So really, we don't want to discourage or overwhelm ourselves with anything we have a week from now. The whole goal for sprint planning for the week, what's our week look like? What do those appointments look like? What do I need to prepare for each appointment? And then, what outreach do I need to do in order for them to be prepared for the appointment? Shelly, like what you're talking about. Hey, we're meeting tomorrow. Again, if you put it on a link that's a personalized link that you share out, I noticed you haven't opened this or haven't filled this out or haven't submitted this. Now is my warm and fuzzy reminder to you, please take an opportunity to do that so that we can be efficient with our time together. And we're not sort of sitting in silence as you fill out information. I love it. Great. Shelly, let me ask you this, since we're dialoguing here. You sound like you have a pretty good process and system around the appointments. What about, do you have stuff planned for the week for outreach or for lead generation, things like that? Or how does that typically flow for you?
So this is a business that I'm setting up right now.
Yep.
I'm just setting up processes. So I haven't even set up any of that kind of flow yet on this. This is brand new. I'll probably have the business set up and in place. I'm looking towards the Q4 at the end of this year.
Cool.
Because I'm still in college. And I want to make sure that I have it down before I start messing with people's heads.
I love it. I love it. You've already done the proactiveness of starting to build the process and systems ahead of time. And you've already done the due diligence to say, I want to and need to implement processes and systems in my business in order for my business to run like a business. And I think this is all something everybody can learn from, even if you're in business right now. Even if you're in business right now and you aren't leveraging a lot of process or systems or planning, it's sort of like, I know people in business right now, Shelly, it's like chaos every day, right? They wake up and they're just reacting to everything that's happening instead of being proactive. And sometimes we find ourselves in that situation. You can always take a step back. The world's most likely not going to end if you take a step back, take a deep breath, and get grounded, right? And start to lay out that path and start to think about those processes and systems and the amount of overwhelm and stress and anxiety that it'll take off of your plate when you start operating it more efficiently that way with processes and systems. Can be a big relief for a lot of people. So this is, again, one of the reasons why we come on every single Monday. Guys, I don't come on here because I need to make my sprint plan for the week. My sprint plan was made last night. You know what I mean? I come on here because I want to make sure everybody else has a path to follow. And if you've got a path that works for you, great. Maybe there's some tips that you can share with the rest of the community. But if you don't have a path for the week ahead, this is just your reminder. Make a plan. And it doesn't have to be a complex plan. Rip out a sheet of paper if that's all you have. Make a list of every task that you need to take care of that you can think of, because those top of mind things, that's your priority list, right? These are the things that are important right now. Maybe you'll overlook something, but make that list and then look at the calendar on when you're going to block time to do the work, because it's one thing to know what work needs to get done. It's the other thing to actually take action and do the work. And that's one of our topics for this week is really action. We hear about it all the time, like take massive action, just go out and do action. And that truly is it. You can, I had a mentor and he said, here are the results you want, whatever those results are. Imagine in your mind, if you will, what you're envisioning your results will be. For Shelly, maybe that's the result of her new business. You know what I mean? And how successful it's going to be and how many clients she's going to have and what her days are going to look like and all of that. That is part of that vision of the outcome. You've got to have that. And then you have to have a belief, okay, a belief that that's achievable. If you don't believe that that's achievable, independent of what you do, you won't achieve it. So you got to have a belief. But the other thing, because belief alone will not achieve it, it's belief plus action. And that action component is the most important component. Shelly has to sit down and she has to take action on mapping out her process. Hey guys, this is going to be the intake form. I'm going to send it out to you. You're going to fill it out. I'm going to be able to review it right before we come in. And we're going to be efficient with our session together. Then afterwards, I'm going to be able to do this, this, and this. And then the next time I'll send this out. Or if I see somebody hasn't sent it, she's already done all of the footwork. She's not in the weeds reacting to that situation. She's setting up a system and a process for success before the situation even arises. We can all be doing that.
Life is too short, ER. The kids,
the
kids grow up too fast, and people pass. Man, you gotta have time freedom. Period.
100%. If I had to weigh the three freedoms, Shelly, right, and we talk about them all the time. I think a lot of people focus on financial freedom. Then you've got the location freedom and time freedom. That's sort of the trifecta. And out of all three, I truly believe, and most people might argue differently, but time freedom, in my mind, is the number one. And I don't know about most people, but I realized that really early on in my life. I'm really blessed in a way to have discovered that early on. And I think for me, it came about because you realize how finite everything is. For me, it was like a near death experience brings it to light. Oh my gosh, I could have just died. Now I could die at any moment, essentially. It's not a given. And we tend to stop thinking about it in that term, Shelly. We think about like, I've got all the time, finish the sentence. I've got all the time we don't have all the time in the world. You know what I mean? But we treat it like we do. We sell it freely in exchange for money all the time. And how many times have we seen that one person who sold their time for money their whole life and then got to the end and never got any time freedom? And you're sort of like, I hope that's not me. That's what my realization is I felt like it was so finite. I felt like we've got this hourglass of sand and the sand is going out and it's going out for all of us. The sand is going at the same rate. Here's the unknown. We don't know how much sand we each have in our glass. Shelly could have twice as much sand as me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And so I have to use the sand that's flowing down to the best of my ability. right? We have to seize the moment, carpe diem, as they say, get out there and do action and really make that time count for you. Be purposeful and intentional with your time, and then a lot of what we talk about with the planning of getting point A to point B, and I've mentioned this before, it's almost like, and I want to say, it's always misquoted as Gandhi saying this, but it's be the change you want to see, right? In your life. If you start living your life by design, right? And by design means having a plan or a process or a system, live your life by design. That daily practice of living your life will result in the outcome that you want to have. So you just have to be doing the daily activities necessary. Not everything is a daily activity. I understand that. Some things are going to be weekly, some things are going to be monthly, but you got to be relentlessly consistent about it. I was reading a book, Shelley, and there was an author, and the author says, I love the idea of yoga, right? I've got the pants, I've got the mat, I've got the water bottle, right? I love the idea. But I'm not a yogi. I don't practice yoga. What does that mean? That means she has everything she needs to be a yogi, right? She could be practicing yoga, but she doesn't. She doesn't stretch. She doesn't hold position. She doesn't do any of that type of stuff. If she wants to be that, she needs to start doing that daily practice. For some of us, that might be, I need to pick up the phone. I need to pick up the phone and make phone calls, and I need to do that every single day if I'm going to generate a new lead or a new prospect. That's the action that you have to take. You can believe that you can generate a new prospect, but if you don't take the action, you're not going to happen. Or I need to go out and I need to network, or I need to go out and I need to go to these events, or I need to go out and I need to have these meetings. Again, whatever you're working on, there are things that you need to be doing, taking action on. And Monday is all about identifying those things and then making sure you have them listed down so that you don't forget about them, right? I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I'm going to do this each and every day. Guys, mine's pretty simple, right? You wake up, you check emails. I don't check emails right when I wake up, okay? I have like a family time, breakfast, activity, all of that type of stuff. But when I plug in for the day, then I just go through my routine. Check emails, check order statuses, check signups, check all of these types of things that we monitor on our end. Work on the dev reviews and things like that. Prep for my meetings. I know that I have 3 meetings today. One of them is going to be with Ruben, who's already got his hand up. So these are all things that before I even started my day, I knew was coming up. I want to encourage you guys. You are capable of doing the exact same thing, and then you become less into a reactive state. Now you're proactively just going through, checking things off and taking time. And when you're doing that, everything else starts to free up. That's, Shelley, when you're like, oh, the afternoon is open. I don't have anything blocked and I got all my stuff for today done. I've got a choice now. I can proactively chip away a little bit at tomorrow. Maybe there was some stuff on the list, or I've got a little bit of time freedom. Maybe I'm going to take the dogs for a walk, pick the kids up from school, enjoy life a little bit because it's finite. We all get just a little dash in between 2 dates when we think about it, the big grand scheme of things. So, Shelley, thank you for all of that contribution. Ruben, you've got your hand up. Go ahead, my friend.
Yoga. Guys, right behind me here is a yoga mat in my website. We do art, and they convert it to yoga mats or whatever. But the reason why I brought this up is that I have to have time called mindset freedom. In the evening, I get on a mat just to remind me. I look up and close my eyes and say, I have been so blessed. I got this done today. I'm great. Now I need to rest because the mind doesn't know what is good or bad. It just goes by habits. So you got to program this to shut it off because, guys, I just read an article. The employees in the U.S. American employees of TikTok are burning out big time, because they're having meetings with the Chinese TikTok engineers out there, and they are constantly on. So they're burning themselves out. And you can see that with this technology that we have. We can go like crazy with this.
100%.
We got to come to a point each day to rest and really rest and reprogram ourselves. And if we can do that, like what I do is I try to plan what I'm going to do the day before, so that I can say, okay, there's nothing really that concerns me. That guys, all of a sudden something will come up and it's not accomplished or there's a challenge. Guess what the mind does? Okay, let's go ahead and solve it. Then all of a sudden you look, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you look, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And then what happens? I mean, you wake up unrested. It's a discipline. So no matter what it is, you really have to set some time in the evening to get that quality of sleep that you're going to need, however you do it.
I love that. I love that, Ruben. And I love it for so many reasons because a few things. One, balance. Okay. Again, we follow along with some of the mindset of a champion stuff, the wheel of life stuff that we've talked about, where it's all balance. Guys, if you are on 24/7, like Ruben's talking about, but also only in one area, like business and finance all of the time, to Ruben's point, you're going to burn out. We all need rest. That brings up a topic of a book that I was reading. This book is called Peak Performance. It's a great book. If you want a link for it, let me know or message me and I can send you over a link for it. But a majority of that book, Peak Performance, is about rest. It's about like an athlete. If I lifted my arms every single day and I never allowed them to rest and repair the muscles, I wouldn't be able to get to where I wanted to get. It would actually be a diminishing return where I'd burn out. This is why some people do an upper body workout one day, a lower body workout the next day, a cardiovascular workout, and they sort of toggle between them, is because the body needs rest, to Ruben's point. And we also need balance. We should be focusing on all of those areas of the wheel of life. Part of that time freedom that Shelly was talking about, and Shelly, I see your hand up, we'll be right to you in a second. It really is balancing all of those things. There's a section in this wheel of life, right? For your physical health, for your mental health, for your spiritual health, for your financial health, your career health, your family, right? Think about those things. If we don't balance that out, part of living life and time freedom is the time I get to spend with my family, is the personal time that I allocate for myself. To Ruben's point, to relax, to wind down, to meditate, to give gratitude. And I love, Ruben, that you're able to swap your background so quickly. Again, you see the physical, the family, the mental, the financial, the career, the personal, all of those things are going to play a role, and we want to be balanced. Shelly, I love yours for 2022. And again, I'd encourage everybody, this is part of that process that we're all going through and working on. We're just trying to leverage some tools to support us in that process. We've all had an opportunity to do this. If you haven't, there are some resources for you. Wheel of Life, right? Gauge the baseline of where you're at. Where are you at? What is the point A and what is the point B? Take an opportunity to fill those things out. I made my wife even do one, and we do them every 6 months. You know why? We want to make sure we're on the same page and aligned. We're partners. We're teammates. We're working together. I write down details off of every item in the wheel of life. What's the personal one? With clarity, as much clearness as you can envision. And then it leads to what? My sprint plan. This is that process or that practice that I put in every single day. And what I know is it takes the brain damage out of it. I know that if you got on your mat, Ruben, every single evening to give gratitude, that it's going to have an outcome for you above and beyond not doing it at all. And I know that if everybody on this call thought about one thing that they should be doing this week, one action that they should be taking this week but haven't been, and made that a daily action, that the outcome over time would change for them. Just think about it. What is that one thing that you can write down right now? I need to get up 30 minutes earlier. I need to, for me, you want to know an interesting one? Call my mom every Saturday was a huge one for me. Why? I found myself getting so busy with life. It'd be a week before I talk to my own mother, and it should be something I talk to her daily if I can, but if I don't, I know every Saturday I've got a time schedule to do it. And I didn't always do that. I just implemented it and stuck with it. And again, your life is going to change over time. So you have to be willing to come back and look at this and adjust it on an ongoing basis. We just talked about that book, Peak Performance. I know we've talked about James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, multiple times. It's about setting the habit and then incrementally changing it and adjusting it over time to till it takes you to where you want to go. So Shelly, you've been super patient. Go ahead.
So one last thing that I just thought of that I did was one of my school projects at the end, because I'm getting a certificate at the end of this month for one of my classes, and they asked me to provide some type of marketing that I'm going to be doing for my business. So of course I provided my link to my shuffle card, and it's got all of my social media. It's got ways to get a hold of me, all this stuff. So I'll be interested to see what kind of grade I get, but I'm sure it's probably going to be the best input that they've had in quite a while.
I love it. Talk about having your ducks in a row. You know what I mean? And that's really what, in essence, business is and life is. If you can be more proactive about it and really taking control, understanding that we all have the power to choose of what we do every day, and we should all feel blessed that we can do that. Some places people don't have choice or freedoms like we do. Really capitalize on that, right? And you'll rise to the top with a lot of that type of stuff. So very, very cool, Shelly. I think I'm excited to hear how it goes with class and everything, and what they think about that. You know, when I think about marketing in general, and some of us are going to be out marketing this week. We're going to be out promoting things this week, our products, our services, our brands, ourselves. You know, what are you going to be sharing? And how are you going to be sharing it? That's always a big question. If you haven't built something in Shuffle worth sharing, like Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. tomorrow is going to be an ideal time to ask those questions and learn those things, because all marketing is getting the word out, letting people know who you are, what you do, and how you can serve them, right? What your product offering is, what your service is, and allowing them to make an informed decision once they have some information. But there are a lot of people out there who struggle getting information in front of people. You know, Shuffle is an amazing tool to help you do that. Social media is an amazing tool to help you do that. There are lots of tools that you can use. Like, now is as good a time as any to be launching a business, a career, a focus on growth, because we have access to, one, so much information, and two, we can share information so much easier. And I think with that also comes some hardships. Ruben, you were talking about it. We live in a 24/7, 365, noise from every angle type of world. And if you aren't aware of it, you're going to get distracted. You're going to get pulled aside. You're going to get entertained in some direction, and your attention is going to be focused somewhere else, you know? And you really want to take control of that and use your attention where you want it to go so that it takes you to where you want to be. Something I often think about, which I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's other people. Think about this. If you were alive in the 1800s or 1700s, there would be a longer time delay in the things that you do. If you didn't send anybody an instant message or an email back then, right? You maybe wrote them a letter, and then it had to be shipped out to them, and then they had to read it, and they had to write a response. You know, it was a slower pace. Now it's all instant. We live in an instant world, an insta world, if you will, and everything is so instant. If somebody messages you, I feel like people get mad at me if they email me and I don't get back to them in 30 seconds, right? Do you ever feel that way? I mean, think about that. And so we also, there's going to be those time stealers. This is another thing for sprint planning, a big tip. There's going to be those time stealers, those time robbers. Sometimes they're people, you know, where they're going to just capitalize all of your time, and then you're not going to be left with much after it, or other activities. A lot of it, I see a lot in entertainment, right? We want to pull ourselves and distract ourselves and entertain ourselves, which is great, but not if it capitalizes all of your times. Anybody else, thoughts, tips, and tricks? I've got one more I want to talk about, but I definitely want to open the floor for anybody who wants to add to the conversation. Debbie, I see you on the call. Good to have you on. Anybody? Okay, I want to talk about this thing I mentioned earlier. We all have heard it, right? It's the to-do list. It's the to-do list. We just make a list of everything we have to do, right? And if you're doing that, that's a great step. Circle or prioritize the things, put stars or highlight the ones that are the most important. Think about the things that are ending up on your list and staying there, right? Those are the frogs. We want to eat the frog first. But also think about this list called the not to-do list. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of what not to do, right? The things we don't want to be doing, the things that are the time thieves of us, or the wastes of time, or the non-revenue generating activities. You need to make a big list of those things and catch yourself doing those things because you can eliminate them. We call them the not to-do list. What is going to be on your not to-do list? You know, for me, it's like late night snacking is a not to-do list item. It just doesn't help me accomplish anything, yet I find myself doing it every now and then, especially when the meal of that night was really good and I want to sneak a little leftover or something like that. That's on my not to-do list. Social media sometimes can be on your not to-do list. Honestly, I try to avoid social media unless I'm doing it to connect or share information. You can get caught in that trap of, as I like to say, watching the latest cat video or seeing what your neighbor ate for lunch. There's a lot of people out there trying to be the next mega influencer. So we're all in a position to create tons and tons of content, especially on social media. And then they've designed their systems where it's real easy to sort of never ending feed yourself that content. Guys, this is all by design. All linked to like the dopamine receptors in our brain, right? The endless scroll. And all of that's a time consumer. You know who's benefiting? The social media company. They're the ones who are watching the dollar sort of ding, 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 as you scroll. So just be aware of that. There's a method to the madness on there, but you're in control. I know we mentioned
except for our kids. Our kids
right?
are losing. Our kids are losing hard. I saw a kid this morning on his bike at a stoplight. As soon as he stopped at the stoplight, he pushed the button and then sat on his phone like the whole time and waited until he heard like the stoplight change, jumped back on his bike and rode across the street. And I thought, man, our kids are just so hooked on this stuff that they're not even looking up to see life.
And you will be amazed, Shelly, that's the beginning of it, not the end of it, which is pretty crazy. And I think for a lot of us on this call, like, guys, I'm going to date myself. I'm a child of the 80s, right? I feel like just blessed enough. I'm the top end of the millennial market, 40 years old. And I grew up in this analog age. And all of us, if you're older than me, you got to experience the analog to digital shift. Right now, our kids are growing up in an environment where it's all digital all the time, all plugged in and all turned on. And Shelly, to your point, I see that with adults who are driving nowadays. They get to the stop sign or stoplight and boom, I got a chance to check. And I see them, they're like scrolling through Instagram. I'm like, what is so important on Instagram, that you can't wait till your final destination? These are reasons why we're actually creating problems that the future technology will solve. The biggest reason for artificial intelligence for self-driving cars is because 90% of automobile fatalities are human caused. And why? Because we're on our phones or, my wife sent me a meme. It was actually from the analog age from the 90s. If you were driving, you weren't on your cell phone. You were shuffling through looking for that CD to put in. You were putting on some makeup. We were all still distracted. And that's really what we want to be about. We want to be cognizant about that stuff. That's really what this is about, being aware and then understanding that you have the choice to choose to do something different, and make the most of that. Because as we mentioned, you don't know how much you got, guys. So you might as well make the most of it, and try and enjoy the ride too. Okay, guys, we got about 20 minutes left in the window of time. I don't want to use it all if we don't need it, but I do want to open this up as a conversation for anybody. Sprint planning, their plan for the week, activities, things they should be doing, help from the rest of the community on a certain focus or specific area that you're working on this week. Let us know. The floor is anybody's.
I did have a technical thing about the planning and the to-do list. So when it comes in, you get a notification that you miss something or a follow up. Is there a way that it can give you more information, because you might forget and not know who to follow up on? It just tells you to follow up. Is there a way that we can give it a little bit more information?
Love that question, Nick. Let me go in here. I'm going to jump back into the desktop. Again, this is similar to what you're going to have access to in the app for your mobile device. I'm on cards here. Nick, you want to spend some time in contacts, in activities, and notice the little bell icon. So when you click on the bell, you'll see in this account, 9 overdue follow-ups. That's going to be your first indicator that you've got stuff that you forgot to do. If you're seeing overdue on here, that's your call to action to get into activity. You want to hit this while it's 9 overdue follow-ups instead of 900. Okay.
Right.
Additionally, you want to come over to your activity. You'll see in the activity the reminder, set the follow-up, reminder that completed the follow-up, all of that stuff. And the best thing we can all do if you're talking about following up and being proactive about your following up is come into your contact list, click on this little gear, and sort all of your contacts by upcoming follow-up. So Nick, if you have any follow-ups that are supposed to be taking place, your list is going to show that in upcoming follow-ups, and it'll prioritize them with the latest or the oldest one at the top so that you can start working it. And then you make the determination, has it been so long that I've missed my opportunity to talk with Jane Doe here? Because again, we're just wanting to capitalize on opportunities. And opportunities will pass us all by if we do not work them, right? So think about this. An opportunity will pass you by, right? They always say that luck is the definition of luck is preparation meets timing, okay? You're prepared to capitalize on an opportunity when it presents itself. So look at your schedules, look at what you have in those upcoming follow-ups. You can be proactive. Sometimes if I have a follow-up scheduled for tomorrow, I'll go into that contact, I'll review the notes because I try to set an expectation with everybody I'm talking with. If I say, hey, Ruben, great talking with you, why don't we follow up or reconnect Monday at this time or in a week or in 6 months, whatever that time range is, I want to be respectful of that. If I say a specific date and a specific time, I will stick to that. If I say a general sort of roundabout rule, like, hey, why don't we connect early next week? I usually typically think Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So again, if you get on here and it's Friday and you've missed that Monday phone call, connect early next week. Okay, you're connecting later next week. But if you wait 6 months and you call that person up, they'll be like, hey, ER, weren't you going to follow up with me like 6 months ago? You know, so think about that and how you're working your opportunities, because it's going to get to a point where if you don't work them, they will sort of go stale or old. But if you do work them and consistently work them and set that expectation, you can have long periods of time. I have relationships that I talk to like once every 6 months, and they're great relationships. It's just that's the expectation that we set for that relationship. So Nick, hopefully that helps you. Go into your contacts like I was sharing on the screen. And for anybody who was just watching that, we're going to go into our contacts. We're going to click on the gear right by the search. That's going to pull up a menu, and we can highlight upcoming follow-ups here. And that will order all of them, okay? Order them all. And you can see what hasn't happened, right? Like that May 16th one we set earlier with Lizzie, and some of these ones that have passed like Friday with Guy. Man, it's Monday. Now's my opportunity to call Guy up. Hey, Guy, sorry I missed you on Friday. You know what I mean? Again, you play your conversations how you play them, but stay on top of the relationships. I want to remind everybody this, okay? All too often, and we are all susceptible of this, it's the big win. It's the instant gratification. We're looking for gold here, guys. When we work our network, we're looking for gold. And all of us have in our mind frame the gold nuggets that you see as you're panning for gold. And typically we're all just looking for the big gold nuggets. But what we don't realize and what we have to understand is that a majority of gold that is mined is fine gold powder, right? And that's what happens when we wash out the mat and the gold sluice box and all that other stuff. We have to actually work it and build it up so that we can get a majority of that gold. You have to work your relationships. You have to work your network. You have to leverage your tools because they will help you do that a bit more efficiently and a bit more easier compared to doing everything from the analog side. So don't get stuck in that analog trap, guys. We've all seen it. We moved from analog to digital. A lot of us, have adopted digital techniques. If you've got a cell phone, as opposed to a big, long, curly wire that hooks to your phone and your landline, guys, you've joined the digital revolution. So now it's time to look for other tools and other ways you can be leveraging technology to support your processes within your business. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? We got about 10 minutes left. And I haven't had a chance to read through all the chats, everybody, but if you did put a question on chat or have a tip or a trick and you wanted to bring that forward to the community or somebody who might be streaming live with us on YouTube, please feel free to do that. Everybody else seem like they have a good handle on what they want to work on this week, what their plan is.
Sorry about that. I forgot about the YouTubers when I was putting stuff in the chat. I actually went to a vendor show this weekend, yesterday in Boulder City, and there was a lot of people walking around, and I remembered what Ruben had said and what you guys had said about the QR codes. So I just walked around, and anybody who had a QR code out or had it engraved or had it on, I actually called somebody else up the other day too that had it on their car. I'm like, hey, is that stagnant?
Yeah.
And I just asked that question, is that a stagnant QR code? Do you have like some information behind it? And they're like, oh yeah, I can't change it. Well, what if you could? And what if you could actually have the analytics behind it so you knew when somebody was opening it to see, and they like their eyes got big. And I thought, okay, this is how I need to approach this then. So yeah, that was an easy one.
Well, and Shelley, like you just mentioned, right? This stuff is not rocket science. If you go out there and you just practice or try it and just ask a question, you'll realize it's a lot easier or more simple than we make it out to be. When we just have conversations with people, I think there's this mentality in marketing and sales that we're doing something to someone, right? We're doing this to you. I'm selling you, right? And instead, we have to flip that switch, and it's something we do for somebody. And it's not selling, it's finding a solution that's going to help them solve that problem. If they say, yes, my QR codes are stagnant, I printed up that banner right there. It cost me $150 to print up a banner, and now I can't change it. I wish I had a better solution. Well, that's what you want to be. You wish you had a better solution. Well, what if I could show you a solution that would allow you to update that on the fly? Where if you had a deal change overnight, you could go in and make an adjustment. They're going to be receptive to that type of stuff. And most of the time it's conversational, right? And look, some will, some won't. So what? That's the whole thing. You're not trying to hard sell somebody. I think that's where that negative connotation of sales comes from. We're never out there. We're out there saying, there's this amazing technology that LFI provides in Shuffle and in Tap that have a bunch of features that can solve problems that a lot of people have. And I'm not talking about a lot of people as in like a few hundred people. We're talking millions of people out there have these needs, and they're looking for these solutions. They just haven't come across them. Or, when you think about it, they're in the same boat that all of us are in, right? They're so focused on the day-to-day and the hustle and bustle and the chaos of life, they might not even be aware that the solutions exist. And so when somebody approaches them and asks that question, hey, is that a static QR code or a dynamic QR code? Hey, how do you manage your relationships? Hey, do you have a digital business card you can share with me? Those are all questions where they're either going to say, yep, absolutely, got that taken care of, or no, tell me a little bit more. What is that? How do I use that? And then that's your ability to come in and say, there's some new stuff out there that you could be using that you can benefit from. And that's really what it's all about. That's what our focus is each and every week when we're making our plan. It's how do we help another 1,000 people this month learn that something else is available to them, and how do we support you guys in helping us get the word out about all of this stuff? And how do we make our technology even better, more intuitive, simpler, more dependable, easier to use, etc. I mean, that's what our weekly mission is. So with that being said, anybody else? Last chance. We got about 8 minutes left here.
I say call us the shuffle charcuterie, since we solve a plethora of things,
Yes, yes.
That QR thing is pretty easy though, especially for somebody, because some people are not as technologically driven. So if you walk up to somebody and you start talking about shuffle, they sometimes you'll lose somebody in the conversation. But if they have a QR code, they understand that QR code thing.
Yep.
So just getting them to understand that second process of, oh, you mean I could make this so that I can just like leave this QR code up and I can make anything behind it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, what? And all of them asked me for information, which I thought was really cool.
I mean, again, this is a big indicator of a few things, right? Not everybody is technologically savvy, and that's our mission to really help simplify and scale it down so that anybody can use the technology. Because there's a lot of great technology out there, but you almost have to go to school just to learn how to use it. And here we're really trying to figure out ways where anybody can adopt the technology and really become a master of it if they're willing to put in a little bit of time, guys. And I think all of us would attest that it doesn't take going to school to learn how to use Shuffle. You just got to get in and play around with it and create something worth sharing.
Plus, I think all of us really appreciate your customer service.
Yeah, I appreciate our customer service as well.
And everything you've done to help us. So we appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you guys as well. And thank you for that, Shelley. I think the other thing as well is just not everybody is technical, and be aware of that. However, waves of change are happening. This is the other thing. When I meet somebody who's non-technical, one of the big things I want to say is, even though you're not technical, doesn't mean your customer is not technical. And let's think about that, because if we charted commerce, and let's just take e-commerce, online commerce, and we charted that over time, do you guys think it's just a steady line? You think it's a line that's trending down? Or do you think it's like a parabolic curve that just keeps growing every single year? And that's the reality. I just saw a thing where in the United States, they just approved a plan to allow free internet access to something like 50 million underserved communities. What do you think? What do you think that's going to empower and enable those individuals to do?
Education.
Isn't that amazing, right? They're going to get access to information, education, right? They're also going to get access to information. They're going to get access to shopping. They're going to get access to everything that we all know having internet access has opened the door for. So we have to keep that in mind as well as a business owner, because think about the brick and mortar retailer when Amazon came to town, or you want to do it an earlier step, brick and mortar retailer when Walmart came to town. These big technical companies start siphoning up that local business, and they need to be technical too in order to remain competitive. So I think that's one other thing where if you have this servant leader mentality, we're on a mission to really help people stay current in the digital age by providing them technology or access to technologies that even the biggest of businesses are leveraging. There's a reason Apple has invested billions of dollars into NFC technology, the same technology behind our tap cards. They use it for all of their Apple Pay payment systems. That technology is not going anywhere, and they've committed billions of dollars to it. That's a good indicator that everything's going to continue to move in that direction. So that's what you want to be looking at as a small business owner, an entrepreneur, a work-at-home professional, is how am I playing in the same pool as everybody else and staying relevant and competitive in those spaces, because my customer has this thing in their pocket 24/7. And nowadays, you can go to a shoe store, try on a pair of shoes, find the style you want, and while you're in that store, price shop it across the entire internet. That's the world we're living in, So we really want to try and stay competitive in that. And we want to find ways where we differentiate ourselves. If we're selling a product or a service that is in a way a commodity where people can get them from other locations, then it's us that is that differentiator. It's our ability to provide service, hold hands, answer questions, help them get set up, get started. All of that type of stuff is why they do business with us and why they'll refer us to their friends and family and other individuals when those people have a need for our services and products as well. Okay, everybody. Well, we are at the top of the hour here. Unless there's anybody else who has a hand or a question or anything else at all, let us know. Greg, I see your comment in there. Guys, I mentioned this. There's 4 calls every week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Mindset of the Champion falls on Wednesday. If you can't make one of those, and Greg, I appreciate it for the accountability of letting us know you're not going to be able to make it, try and check out a replay. All of our calls that I do on Monday, Thursday, and Friday, they get streamed directly to YouTube. You're always welcome to come back, even if you attend and you want to go back and catch a certain part. Halfway through, we were talking about this. Go back and watch that replay. Or if you see somebody who needs to see that replay, hey, Shelly, 5 minutes in on this video, you got to check it out and see what they're talking about. I think it would be perfect. Take an opportunity to do that as well. So Greg, try and watch that replay. I know there is a little bit of a delay because Kathy does the recording on there and she has to transfer it over. I think she shares it or has started sharing it in the Facebook groups. So check out the Facebook group after tomorrow's training and hopefully you'll find that replay there. Outside of that, from a housekeeping standpoint, tomorrow's training is at Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Time. I believe I posted in the Week at a Glance calendar in the chat for anybody who wants to download that. Then we're going to have our Thursday Roundtable Mastermind. Might be a little bit wonky this Thursday. Just proactively want to let everybody know I'm double booked and I've got a field day for my son who's in preschool. So I think we might either do a short Thursday or somebody else might be in charge of holding that one, or it might be canceled altogether. Please keep an eye out on the postings and the broadcasts for that. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And then we'll conclude the week with Friday with the founders. Guy and I will be on. We'll talk all things LFI. Great opportunity to join the conversation. We'll share tips, tricks, celebrations, things like that. Also invite your guests for that. Outside of that, I hope that everybody has an amazing week. I want you to have a productive week. I want you to get off as much stuff off your plate and checked off that list as you can. I also want you to realize if you achieve 60% of what you plan for each day, that counts as a win. Do not beat yourself up if you don't do a perfect day every day, if you don't check everything off that list, if a meeting gets rescheduled, if an item doesn't get done, it's okay. We want to get done more than we would have. That's why we put a plan in place. But don't beat yourself up if you don't get it all done. 60 to 65% in any given day is still a win. So chart those wins down, win the week by winning each day, and we'll talk to everybody on the next call. Thank you, everybody. Make it a great week. Take care. Good to see everybody. Bye-bye.